All right, let's do a Bitcoin analysis for May 27th, going on to the next week here. We'll do a full analysis for the long and short position and basically how it will go and play out here, along with specific targets for prices and a full breakdown. That way you guys can take trades off of this and do as you guys want, and we'll post a video updating the outcome of this, hopefully within like a week or so, depending on how fast this stuff moves. But let's get started. So looking at Bitcoin here, we've been in uptrend since the beginning of May. Was able to catch this trade over here, which is nice, but I am following this intermediate trend line, which we've just crossed underneath now. We are also rejecting this zone as a support, and it's becoming a resistance. As you can see, we failed to break above it right here. So with that information, you can see that this is a very strong resistance. So there's a level here as well as a roof in tandem with the zone, and our trend line is just too sharp of a trajectory for the Bitcoin trend to keep up with it. So we're starting to break underneath that. Now there is a zone here as well. We bounced out of this previously. On the larger time frames, this has been a very strong zone that we've moved from. However, hopefully it stands up because I obviously don't want to see this go down. But if it fails, we're gonna have a very nice gap down to 61,000, which is slightly frightening considering how fast we gap through this zone here from 62,000 to 63,000, almost 64,000. I see us ripping through it quite fast. So I'm gonna take a pause here. I'm gonna go ahead and do the full analysis, and then we'll go ahead and we'll break down the whole chart for you guys, along with both positions, and I'll post it over to Telegram, where we currently have 8,000 subscribers in there as well, seeing all the trades in real time, because obviously you guys are watching the YouTube video, which comes out like a day after. Okay, so I've gone ahead and marked up our chart here. So if we zoom out on the 3-year, actually, let's go to the 3-hour here. So on our 3-hour time frame, these bottom 3 levels that are down here have been pretty consistent over the past few months here in terms of strong supports for Bitcoin. The big gap that goes from 66,000 all the way to 63 and then 61 is an area of low volume. So that's where we often see a lot of these sharper jumps on the chart, because there's nothing blocking the volume from just shooting right through. So it does just shoot right through. We don't have those areas where there's a lot of consolidation, aka our zones, right? And since we don't have that, we just shoot right through it. And if we look at our zones here, I ended up tightening these up a bit as well, just so we make sure that we're getting a lot of the condensed volume trapped inside of these. That way we know exactly where to expect it in terms of turbulence during our trade here. We also have got 2 red zones. This is where Bitcoin is trading between right now in terms of these 2 zones. And we have the same upwards trending line, which Bitcoin's struggling to keep up with right now, and the secondary trend line. Basically, both of these are leading into the future, and these are going to be really nice supporting lines that Bitcoin's going to bounce off of, along with this one as well. So we have 3 uptrending supports and 1 strong descending resistance that is currently being used as support, but I expect us to go back below this. This red line up here has been pretty consistent as well, so I'm figuring to use that as a take profit for the long scenario. And obviously our short scenario here, we'll go ahead and dive into those now. So let's drop down to the 1 hour. Okay, so on our 1 hour here, so I put our entry right here for the long position at $69,525. So right on the entrance into the zone is where we're going to be looking to enter. Ideally, you want to enter this as long as we're above this white/yellow line here, because that means it's still upwards trending, and there's going to be a stronger chance that it's able to push through this, because as you can see, it wasn't able to get through it when it didn't have a strong uptrend. So if we look at this here and we place it in one of our trend lines, you can see it didn't have anything guiding it upwards, right? So we want to make sure that we have something guiding it upwards, basically a double confirmation that we're going to try to confirm this zone as a support, and we also have a supporting line leading us into it to hopefully carry us through it. This line here is going to go ahead and switch to a resistance. We'll make this one blue, just keep everything nice and pretty. Make this one blue too. Ideally, we can stay between this red and blue line, because anything pushing past that red line is going to be met with a lot of resistance, so we're going to push right back below it. So if we can consolidate upwards through this zone, that's going to give a really good shot at hitting 71,000, which would be like a $2,000 trade pretty much on Bitcoin, which is great. So I'm assuming we're also going to push past this as well into the $72,240 to $600 range. Now, the short position here, notice the 2 zones we're entering inside those zones. So I already want to have those confirmations going into the trade. I don't want to put myself in a bad spot and then wait for those confirmations to hit, because the chances they don't are always assumed more than likely to happen. So we're gonna break below this ideally and travel down to this zone here. Now I have a level at 67,309. We're gonna be entering at 67,280, and I offset our short a little bit above the zone in case we get a little bit of pushback on it, so we can account for that, right? Same thing I did here is I'm accounting for that pushback and that resistance can be met once we try to enter in on the zone, and that should be enough compensation in terms of leeway for the trade so we can get that nice sharp move downwards. Because once we break this and it flips to resistance, we're gonna come down to this line. If we confirm this line as resistance and our zone also as resistance for a second time like we did here, we're gonna push out of this very strongly and maybe even go back below this white, now red line, and push us down even further. And in the midst of all this, if we can also get a confirmation of this upwards trending line that we had marked up from the 3-hour chart, this one here, if we can confirmation of this being a resistance, that is like plus all the reason to just stay in this trade. I would hold this trade as long as we remain below this red line here. I would say it's a really safe trend to follow. If it does take a sharper turn in trend and we start diving towards these 3 take profits down here, I won't be taking profit at 63,000 instantly. I'll explain how that's gonna work in a moment, but I would adjust for that trajectory so we can move with the momentum using the stop loss strategy that we gave up for free. If you don't have it, message me on Instagram at MarketMakerMax and I'll go ahead and send it over to you. Moving on from that, we have 67,000. Obviously it's a massive drop down to 63K, being $4,000. And then we have it going all the way down to possibly 57,000. Now these are really big jumps, so we're gonna be wanting to change where our exit's going to be. So obviously using the MCFTA strategy, that's one thing. I would also say once we cross below into this zone here and also this level at 63,000, if we can confirm it, great. That's gonna mean that we have these targets in sight. If not, and we break back above this red line or break even above this red zone, I'll be exiting instantly. Reason being is you wanna secure as much profit as possible, right? For the longest time, even when I was doing like, $1,000 trades on Binance for futures and stuff, and I was posting back on Discord, I had a note next to my desk that said, take the $40, right? Because even though I did a lot of work setting up the trades, it meant that much to me to just secure the profit on it and not to be greedy. That's why I kept it as a reminder, right? Because you can see these large numbers sometimes and get lost in it, but $40 still goes a long way. So that's why I have it and just on the side of my desk. So now that we're doing much larger positions and we're 5 years into the future here, set up different parameters position wise in the chart so you make sure that you secure your position. That way you can't take a L on it, right? So you want to basically set those parameters going into the trade, which is exactly what I'm doing now. And that's in line with everything else that I've done in the MCFTA strategy to make sure that I'm locked in and I have a really safe position set up for both the long and short scenario, so they're both accounted for. And that's overall going to give me a way better yield on this trade in terms of optimistic I am in it playing out, and also my confidence for sticking through the trade, depending on what happens once we're actually in it. So I'll post this alert to Telegram as well. We got 8,000 members in there, and we'll give an update on this trade as it progresses. It looks like this is gonna go up until the 31st. It's currently the 27th, so we got a few days in this. It's likely to get extended out to June 3rd. The same with this trade. I could see this going to June 1st in terms of just like keeping up with this trend here, because obviously these are gonna break and we're gonna come down. So maybe we hit both, maybe we just hit the short, but we'll see. Anyways, thank you guys for checking out the video and stuff. We'll do an updated analysis once this plays out, obviously. And the Telegram and my personal Instagram and also our website is linked in the description. So go ahead and check that out. I appreciate it. Telegram is completely for free. Post all my trades for free in there. I hit 80, 100% to 100%, 300% trades in there, and post them just so people can get a bag up so they can actually work with me and stuff. Feel free to join that and take my trades. Cheers.